Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shanai Shanai Ruparamet Buddhya Dhruti Grihitayam Atma Samstam Manakritva Nakinchitapi Chintayet. Namaste. Welcome to all dear yoga sadhakas. For our understanding of the Ashtanga yoga which we are going through, and so far we have seen about the 5 earlier limbs of Ashtanga yoga, starting from yama, the don'ts, the restraints, niyama, the do's, and then the principle of asana, the postures, pranayama, the control over the vital life force energy, pratyahara, the conscious withdrawal of the sense organs from the sensory objects and pleasures, and then now we come to the 6th limb of the Ashtanga yoga. In fact, these 3, the next 3 goes close together, hand in hand, that we need to see them connectively, we can't separately see them. Dharana Dhyana Samadhi, DDS you can call, or D square S, the Dharana Dhyana Samadhi goes together. And dharana, when we say dharana, it means the intense focusing. So what we should focus, how we should focus, before that we should understand the nature of the mind. We all have understood that mind is the culprit, the karanam for us to get into any of the problems that we face. The scriptures call it as, manayeva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. Mind has become the reason for you to get into the problem. And how do you come out of the problem? Using the same mind as the tool. That's why this whole essence of Raja Yoga, what we are seeing, the Ashtanga Yoga, is broadly called as Raja Yoga, which is the control of the mind, or the path of the mind power or will power, as it is called. And like Jnana Yoga has been the path of the intellect, the path of the wisdom, the path of analysis. Raja Yoga is the path of the mind control. Willpower is what it is called. So here we need to understand what mind is, mind being the basic reason for the problem and also the tool for coming out. What mind is? Mind is nothing but the collection of thoughts. It's a conglomeration of the thoughts. There is nothing separately called a physical entity which is sitting somewhere, not even in the brain, not even the heart. In fact, the yogic scriptures believe mind to be all pervasive. Mind has a nature of being all pervasive. It's nothing but the thoughts. So when you think of being here, when I think of the Himalayas, when I talk of the Himalayas and think of the Himalayas and start describing in the Himalayas, it's all white snow-clad mountain everywhere, and in between beautiful glaciers are there, beautiful streams of water flows from there, and it's exclusive nature, beauty which is there. So the moment we talk of it and then we start thinking of it, mind goes there. So you are mentally transported to that place, right? You could be there in Dubai, or you could be in Singapore somewhere, but your hometown is somewhere deep, a village in India, suppose. So being there, when you think of your village and your life over there, your mind goes there. Right? Mind doesn't stay in one place. It either flies to the past or flows to the future, doesn't stay in the present. That's the biggest problem. And if only our mind is there in the presence, the present condition, the present tense with the presence of mind, that's why we call it always as the presence of mind. If it is there at that moment, then we can achieve success in whatever we are able to do. But what happens, unfortunately, when we are trying to do something, focusing on what we are supposed to do at that moment, it either goes to the unwanted memories of the past. Sometimes good memories are okay, very wonderful relishing memories of good achievements that we have done is good to get us motivated. We need to know that's why we need to think of the glorious history of the country, our great leaders, great yogic masters, their achievements. So it's good to go to the past for these good things or something good that we have achieved. But often mind goes to the bad memories of life which we had in the past. So then that creates a kind of a tensed mind, a depressed mind. It can put you into a problem. So mind, when thinks of the past, it can go to a condition called the depression. When you are too much future oriented, than being in the present, thinking too much of the future. What would happen to me tomorrow? What is going to happen to my business? What is going to happen to my family? Too much of anxious mind will put you into a condition called the anxiety. When you are too much over the past, it is depressive mind. When you are too much thinking of the future, it becomes a anxious mind. So, to avoid both these problems of depression and anxiety, you need to keep the mind in the present condition. That is very important, and this retention of the mind in the present tense is not so easy. It is always so difficult. That's where the mind is called chanchalata. The nature of mind is chanchalata, which means it's wandering, it's diversified, it's diverted, it's distorted, it's wave. Can you see the waves of the ocean to be steady, steadfast? No. The waves are always coming and going, coming and going. Like that, the thought waves in the mind keeps coming and going, coming and going. Nahi kashchit kshanamapihi. Even one kshana, one moment, you cannot be without doing anything. Maybe physically you are not doing anything, you are sitting, Maybe most people think that they are meditating, but they will be sitting quiet. The physical body is not doing anything, it's stiram. But sukha is not there because mind is thinking of multiple things at that time. So, from the state of mind having multiple thoughts or multiple objects. So, we have too many things. We have the family, we have the career, we have the education, we have the finance, we have the politics of the country. We have now the yoga course which you have added to do. So, a lot of things, and about everything you have multiple things which are taunting you day and night, every kshanam, every moment, right? And all the state of the mind having these multiple thoughts over the multiple objects that you have is what is called chanchalata. From this state of chanchalata, you need to bring the mind to the state of ekakrata, a concentrated mind. Ekakrata is concentration. Here you have one object but multiple thoughts on that one object. You take one at a time. Okay, I am going to now think of my job alone, my career alone, or I am going to think of my education alone, I am going to think of my yoga alone. Whatever it is, one thing you take at a time, but connected to that one object you have multiple thoughts. So, this is the state of ekakrata or the concentration. From there, the next step is what is called dharana. So, chanchalata, ekakrata are also part of dharana, but dharana is predominantly the condition where you have one single object and one single thought on it. The famous example we give is in the Mahabharata, the famous epic of India, where you see the great heroic warrior of the Mahabharata, Arjuna. When Arjuna and his brothers, they were all studying in the Gurukula of Dronacharya. Dronacharya takes them to a forest. The Gurukula, of course, it's in the forest, and he shows them all, something there, and asks each one. Say, for example, he would have asked Duryodhana, what do you see there? And he says, I see a big forest. The next person, probably Yudhishthira, says, I'm seeing a tree there. Then Bhima says, I'm seeing this branch of the tree. And then the other person says, I'm seeing the nest in the tree and I'm seeing the bird in the tree. Whereas Arjuna, who knew where to put the arrow, what the Guru is wanting him to do. So, he has to target the arrow and then shoot the bird is what the Guru expects there. So, he says, I see the eye of the bird over there, and then shots his arrow there. So, just like Arjuna was not able to see any of those, not just the forest, not just the tree, not the nest, not the bird, not even the bird, but only the eye of the bird. So, that is ekakrata, that is dharana, that intense focusing that we need to do. This is very much required for all of us, my dear friends. Often when we try to achieve these targets in life, we miss to attain success because we are diverted with too many things. That's where the previous limb of yoga is very important, the pratyahara by practicing. So, you have already slowly withdrawn all your sense organs from the sensory pleasures. You have withdrawn. You have abhyasa, you have done practice of it. And with this practice, when you are moving towards doing the intense focusing, you can achieve it with great success. It's very much required for students today to focus more and get concentrated result. They achieve success. It's required for everybody who are in administration, who are in any kinds of work. It's very much required. Even our housewives and families, they exercise a great extent of dharana. In fact, you should imagine the way that they are doing their routine work, cooking and everything, they have a natural tendency to do this dharana. And with awareness, when we start doing in a yogic awareness, it can become much more fructified. So, dharana is a state of intense focusing where our effort is involved. You need to put effort, and there are practices like the Trataka. What we do, Trataka is a Hatha Yoga Kriya, a cleansing technique, but it could also be used for developing the sense of dharana. And dharana also can be done over, say, a deepam, a jyoti, a lamp of light, or on Surya, on a nakshatra, particular star, or Ishta Devata, Om. It could be a picture of Om that you keep on looking into it. So initially you take an object of dharana, an object of meditation, and keep doing this intense focusing on that, and eventually that will get you to use to do this on any other aspect also, any subject also, any other matter of concern also. So you focus on one particular thing at a time. So yogic practice of dharana helps you to do that, and from there when you have to move to dhyana, many people often in yoga we say, we teach dhyana, we do dhyana, I do meditate, or I do teach meditate, and meditation is not something that you can do, my dear friends, or I can do. It has to happen on its own. It's a state of being. It's not a state of doing. It happens on its own. Once you are prepared with the other limbs of yoga, of the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara and dharana, and what you have achieved in dharana you have your effort, your prayatna, your yatna is there. Your prayatna is there, your effort is there, your abhyasa is there. So when it becomes natural for you, what you did with your effort, effortlessly when it happened, it becomes dhyana. That's why dhyana is called the effortless. Dharana is dhyana. Here you don't have to put your effort, but you have to do the dharana well. So in the sense of meditation today, whatever that we are doing, any meditation, it could be a form meditation, a formless meditation, sound meditation, lot of meditation that today we people call it. Everything is nothing but dharana. So when you do dharana, what happens as an experience as a result of your effort in dharana, the same thing when it happens naturally, spontaneously to you, right? It is dhyana. We have seen the example of the tree in the beginning to see the Ashtanga Yoga. There you have to put the effort to grow the tree. Put the fertilizer, pour the water and everything, it has to grow naturally. And then the flower blossoming is a natural phenomenon happening on its own. So the blossoming of flower is what meditation is or dhyana is. You can't put effort to blossom the flower. It's with the nature to make it happen. Similarly, when you have the patience to have the adherence to follow the practice of dharana, then dhyana will happen on its own. So here in dhyana you have a triputi, the three things which are involved, like the tripod we are using. So the three things which are involved, which is the meditator who is meditating, the meditator, the process of meditation and the object of meditation. Three things are there. The meditator, dhyani, the process of dhyanam and the dhyana vastu on which you are meditating. The three things are involved. So as he is doing this effortless dhyanam, as it is doing, this thought process which you have taken or the object he has taken and he is doing, slowly what happens? He is getting one with this. The knowledge, even with knowledge just in the Jnana Yoga what we have seen, just imagine, the knower is there, the process of knowing is there and that which is known, the object of knowing is there. Three things are there. So once you have attained this jnanam, once you attained it, so the process is now no more connecting between the knower and the knowledge becomes one with the knower. This is what samadhi is. This is what that samyak adhiyate iti samadhi, the total absorption, the total feeling of that oneness is. Scientists feel that, when they achieve something, as long as they are doing the experimentation, so the experimenter, the scientist, and the science, and then the knowing, the experiment, the three things are there. Once he has achieved this, eureka, I have achieved, I have found it, he becomes one with that. That's the oneness, sense of oneness. Even for a player in sports or something, imagine just once he has reached the goal, so he identifies himself, he is one with that blissful happiness that he attains through the sports which he gets. This is samadhi. Samadhi is not something very, not a super rocket science. It is something which we can all achieve when we achieve the sense of fullness. It is a state of complete freedom from all bondages. It's complete sense of knowing, and knowing that which everything else is known. So what is to be known? It is to be it is to be knowing your own nature. To know yourself, know thyself is the complete sense of knowledge which we need to achieve ultimately. So samadhi is nothing but our swarupa darshanam. That's what Patanjali in the beginning he itself says, tata drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Your swarupa darshana, your nijarupa, not just this body what we see in the mirror or we see down towards ourselves. It is our true nature, is the soul, the divine, potentially divine soul is our true nature, and this what is there, this divinity is elsewhere, everywhere also. This divinity is all pervasive when we understand and become one with this nature, become one with this universal consciousness. That is the samadhi which through the practice of dharana dhyana, naturally you You evolve to that state, you move to the state when there is no difference. When I don't see that I am different from you or you are different from me. People, the great yogis, Mahatmas like Patanjali, Vasishta, like Yagavalya, Vedavyasa, and Swami Vivekananda, Buddha it could be, and all Ramana Maharshi of all recent times, all these people who have attained the state of Samadhi could not discriminate, could not see that I am different from you. The suffering which somebody else has will make them to suffer. The happiness of somebody else will make them to feel happy because they feel this oneness, and that sense of oneness, that sense of completeness, that sense of that universal consciousness is what is Samadhi, which is yoga. Yoga is the union. Yujate aneneti yogaha. You feel this oneness with this complete universal self, and that is Samadhi. And this is the ultimate in the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8. But then Patanjali here goes into different 8 other levels of Samadhi. So our Guruji, Dr. Nagendraji used to say, Samadhi is not the end of Raja Yoga. It is in fact beginning of the Antaranga Yoga which starts. There are further levels of Samadhi which in the higher courses that you can learn. But as of now, this is a complete sense of study that we need to know that Yoga, the Raja Yoga is Ashtanga 8-fold path or 8-limbed path starting from Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are simultaneous. A simultaneous growth, unfoldment of yourself which happens here, and maybe all consciously try to practice. Very important aspect in the Raja Yoga is Abhyasa and Vairagya, which I will talk to you when I talk about the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So Abhyasa and Vairagya. Vairagya is dispassion, and Abhyasa is a practice. Not just by doing a course that you attain everything. People have started selling Samadhi today, unfortunately. It's not so easy to attain like this, but the continued practice which is what going to make you to achieve success, and may we all practice and attain success in our Abhyasa and reach to that state of oneness by the practice of yoga. Thank you.